Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? Everyone out there? So just to go along with the um, kind of a theme that I've been kind of talking a lot about recently. This particular video doesn't have to do with more about the connection between dreams and video games, especially my life. Um, so I'm just going to share a few of these with you. Um, so in one dream I've had, I was at some kind of dance, and believe me, I really don't care for dances. But anyway, I was at a dance, some kind of Halloween dance. It was put on by my church, and it was at some big building. Inside a big building, it was kind of like one of those old-fashioned Union stations, you know, from the turn of the century. But it was a big white marble type building, rounded at the top like a big dome, and older architecture, somewhat from the early 1900s, that sort of thing. But also the dance it was in the daytime. It wasn't the evening. But it was a Halloween dance, so everybody was dressed up, and everybody's having a good time. But bit by bit, I started noticing that there's people that came in a dance that were a little bit questionable looking. And lo and behold, and those guys went up a little bit of stairs, to an upper balcony overlooking where we were all at. And these folks looked a little bit rougher looking, or some of them were just the crazier looking type of transvestite. Something out of like say, the Rocky Horror motion picture show, that sort of thing. Well, just it looked a little bit odd, a little bit made you kind of do a double take a little bit. Anyway, nothing against transvestites, just the more um, crazier sort, I suppose. Anyway, so all these guys were heading up the stairs, and they had a lot of stuff with them. And yeah, they started throwing stuff at everybody. So I guess this is where it gets a little interesting. And then, of course, I remember when they were laughing, it sounded very, uh, a little bit evil sounding. It was not very, it was pretty mean sounding. But yeah, it had these projectiles that were like big colored balls of some sort, and it was weird. If they hit someone, it hurt them a little bit, but not a whole lot. They had like smoke bombs, and they had almost something out of a video game. But whatever they were shooting at us, it wasn't lethal. It's just some things maybe hurt a little bit, but not a whole lot. It was more of a nuisance. It was more of a something that was definitely distracting, but not too big of a situation. Anyway, so then of course everybody started, either running out or fighting back, and we had people all dressed up that were fighting, getting their own kinds of projectile weapons or throwing stuff back at them, and people covered in all kinds of dyes and stuff, and it was crazy. So I think I was with my brother, my two younger brothers, and some other girls, and we just headed out of the building. It was weird though because well, make of it what you will. Dances are to me um, a lot of times they have been a bit more dull than I would have liked them to be. Um, but I don't know. Maybe some of that's just Hollywood, but um, um, it's very much the case that vast majority of people, of course, when you go to a dance, and in real life, you're always wanting someone else to be the entertainment, or you want something else. You want to go see something that's funny, or you want to go meet people that are, very romantic, and you yourself want to be more of a wallflower. Or you want to blend in, and that's the case for most people. And so I think when we all come to a dance kind of that way, we just want to observe, not put too much out. It's just anyway. So not too many. I don't have too many dance streams. Believe me, I don't like dances that much, but yeah, it's kind of different. So another dream I had, of course, um, another dream I had. This has something to do with the feeling of either being chased or of being watched. Um, and I've had a few other dreams kind of like this, well, many other dreams, but um, there was one place, I remember, what kind of like it might have been anywhere in the Appalachia, or maybe not too forested of Ozarks, but the Kentucky, perhaps Tennessee. It was more like the Midwest meets the South a little bit, but a lot of just a rural area with a lot of tall grass and some trees here and there, deciduous trees. And I was in this place, and I was kind of remember I at one point I was being chased by some people that were scary looking and kind of evil. Um, there were some other things that happened earlier in this dream, but I remember I couldn't get out of this place. No matter where I went, I ended up in the same place I was, and it was a little bit weird. It was almost like a Twilight Zone episode, kind of like the Twilight Zone. But yeah, I eventually woke up from that dream. That was kind of a little bit odd. And the setting, certainly, the South tends to lend itself pretty well to those kinds of things. So I wonder if in another place that was kind of similar to this. I can't remember too much of what happened before this, but I remember being in some place that was rather dark. It was in the evening, and it reminded me a little bit of a certain place in my hometown, University Place, Washington. But it reminded me, so all these houses that are in this area, it wasn't too urban. It was it was like suburban, but mixed forest with houses, and there were some large areas that were lawns or just not developed, interspersed with trees here and there, just like more evergreen trees. But the houses themselves were solid colors: wood, reds, blues, greens, purples mainly, grays. And the feeling in that area was, again, that I was being watched out of here and there. People were kind of, and something was gonna happen, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I kept kind of trying to leave that area because it just felt funny, but I couldn't. So again, I've had some of those dreams for sure. Of course, I wonder how many people out there have these kinds of dreams, and be curious as to any similar experiences anyone else had in this regard with their dreams. I was just going to mention another thing more about video games here. Yeah, it's true. I played one of the games I played a bit more. One of them when I was younger was Miner 49er, and it was one of the first. It might have been the first one that came out in 1983. Had 10 levels. I've always thought there was more than 10, but I think I never was able to finish or complete level 10. A little kind of tricky, but I remember dreaming about, of course, video games and having some of the levels of my own invention. And then I got to a point in a dream where I was actually in a basement of a house. I think it was for my relatives, and my aunt was ironing some shirts, but the ironing board had kind of a pattern to it, which they often did, with the little X's and O's all over it, kind of almost like, and it fit right in with the rest of the area. It was kind of a bit computer graphics related. So I guess nothing was really going to happen in that particular scene, which it was in the middle of a video game. So it's kind of, again, a lot of times our dreams are very different that way, where we have moments of like feeling like we're being chased, or we're chasing something, or we're needing to jump over something, or you kill something, and all of a sudden when you find in the middle of your aunt's basement, you're like, oh, well, this is different. You're maybe worried about her, but it's her basement. So that's one of the funny things about dreams. One of the funny things about dreams is that you have these all of a sudden different situations. So anyway, of course, going with kind of more of the interior design train of thought here with some of the dreams I've had. certainly I've had dreams where I'm in like the middle of a huge laboratory. In the evening, it's kind of dark. Of the coloring of whatever lights in the area, just a bunch of blue bottles everywhere and green bottles. So, maybe there's something that's trying to find you, or maybe it's the scientist himself, the alchemist, and maybe you trust him, maybe you don't. Maybe, but most likely probably not, and you're kind of just trying to hide from him, and amongst all the stuff he has, and try not to make anything break. Otherwise, you might be found, kind of thing. So I've had a few of those kinds of dreams. Of course, goes without saying, being a musician, feeling like you're a little bit lost in very college music buildings or theaters, performing arts theaters, or even just performing arts theaters outside of a college, like a community theater or a more prestigious kind of theater, professional for professional groups, or any kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I've had those kinds of dreams where I'm just lost in the tunnels in the back of the theater, like trying to find where I am, discover some long lost organ or some hidden room back there, and wondering if I'm missing something. I have to be somewhere, that sort of thing. So, oh yeah. So, of course, associated with that, just sometimes these dreams slip right into even being finding out all of a sudden you're in a house, and or some kind of other building like that. And one dream, I remember the house I was in had a lot of cooler colors, blues and greens and purples, but also kind of with a gold or silver trim. But at one point in the dream, I think I was running away from something or someone, but it wasn't extremely frightening. It was more just trying to avoid them or something. But yeah, there was this one floor, I think it's second floor, third floor of this house was just covered with pillows everywhere. So I couldn't go very fast. I was kind of trying to jump over all these things and just, get to the staircase. But they're just everywhere and stuff, bedding everywhere. So, and I remember the house was very ornate. It was kind of different. And so, of course, I've had, I mentioned this maybe in the future more, lots of dreams about college dormitories. Some that they're always more ornate, they're always more beautiful than they really were in real life. But one of them was had very white interior in some the main lobbies, with a lot of plants and things and flowers and everything, a lot of glass. But then in the actual living areas, there's more wood, a lot of wood colors, like black countertops for kitchenettes and things. But I don't remember always again with these kinds of dreams what the actual dream was about. It was more the colors and more the way that I interacted with people in that dorm, in that similar living area. And some of the other college dorm dreams have had more of an interior design relation with the 60s and 70s, somewhat with warmer wood colors and sometimes oranges and yellows and lime greens and pinks a little bit. But terracotta, brown, that sort of thing. But again, it's the colors I remember, and it's also the kind of the way I felt about the people I talked to. That those two things kind of seem to kind of hold on to those things a bit more. And yeah, there was a feeling of wanting to be more outgoing and friendly maybe in the past with some folks that I knew. It's harder when you're sometimes right out of high school to be maybe as aware, as insightful as you can be when you get a little bit older regarding people your age. You're still kind to them. You just might not always be as wise about what they talk to you about, or that sort of thing. Or just gain insights with time about people. So, yeah, there's a few ideas for you guys. few things to think over. Interior design is a very big deal, in my opinion. It's a overlooked area still a lot of times. Anything creative. Even when you're say writing something like a story. Uh, and in fact, in another related dream, just I even dreamed of being in a college, but living in some kind of tree fort. So a tree fort or some kind of living space that's up in a tree. You had to get there by ladder or something to get down to the rest of the college. So, and in that tree fort, there's like 3 or 4 other guys, and it was different. So, I mean, I've had all kinds of different dreams like that, but again, it's the color schemes, it's the design, but it's also the way that I interact with everyone that seems to be the big things. So video games could involve dreams much more than they do, and I think that that there's also that kind of idea of the dream being a novel idea in a video game. You need to have more of a kind of emphasis on if video games involve dreams, there needs to be more that kind of feeling of the fuzziness of everything, or everything being the main character feeling stronger emotions, not necessarily stronger, but just everything being more emotionally based. So if you're going to try to fly, it needs to be like the way you would try to fly in a dream. So the whole video game should be, if it has the qualities about it that are like a dream, it should be more dream-like. It should be, again, kind of fuzzy, kind of everything is kind of just impulsive, spontaneous, that sort of thing. And that's hard to do. It's hard to make it really effective. But I think that's one of the things that video game programmers could still try to do more of in the future. And I think those games would be wildly successful if they really were to come out with some games that were really kind of were able to do that well. It's always, the more you can remember from dreams, the easier it is to kind of zero in on what it is that would help video games be more that way. Anyway, hopefully this has been interesting for you guys, and again, just I appreciate some feedback before, for many purposes I've already explained in this video series already. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.